So, Lil Durk had his first court hearing today, and let's just say, it didn't exactly go his way. He's facing some serious charges in a murder-for-hire case, and unfortunately he didn't get the chance at bail, bond, or even house arrest, which means he'll be sticking around in jail for now. You could tell it hit him hard. He looked pretty emotional during the whole thing, but here's where it gets interesting. Apparently, his cellmates and even the prison staff are finding him super personable. Guess he still got that charm going for him, even behind bars. The one thing he's really not vibing with, though, the food?
Yep.
That little detail went viral, and it's even gotten the attention of YSL Woody, the guy who spilled the tea on Young Thug in the recent YSL trial. Woody's now offering Durk some advice on handling things in there. It's wild seeing how fast this news is spreading. Fans are definitely keeping a close eye on what's next for Durk in this intense case.
Here's my opinion on the Lil Durk situation. I ain't saying he's guilty. I don't know what his situation is, but if life is going good.
As kids, we ignorant, we do stupid stuff. Why is we out here trying to continue to hurt each other? It's not going to bring back what's done is done. It's permanent. Go get his kids, take his kids, and put your kids in position where they never had to walk in their daddy footsteps. It hurt me to see that. Durk came so far in life just to end up in his predicament. Y'all rap about these things and y'all son showing that why y'all know better and still choose to be foolish, but God knows we got to come together because at the end of the day, we our own enemies. Hey, there's some good news for Lil Durk fans. He's just been transferred from Fulton County to a Miami prison, which might actually mean he has a chance at bond release. His legal team is digging into what the feds have on him, trying to figure out if there's any solid evidence. Kodak Black's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, also weighed in and said that Lil Durk has a real shot at beating the case involving King Von and Quando Rondo unless someone from OTF decides to testify against him. So Cohen said, "I'm not ready to say they have a strong case on Durk Banks. From what I've seen, they still have a lot of work to do to prove the conspiracy. So far, there's just one text where Durk says not to associate his name with any flights they're taking. Yeah, that's not the best look. But is that all they've got? By itself, it doesn't mean much. It's just circumstantial. If they have a witness or some audio or video of him saying something more direct, that's a different story. But if he's just saying, don't link my name to these guys, he could just be trying to keep his distance." Right now, the evidence against Lil Durk seems pretty thin, and we're still left wondering what OTF Jam might have recorded while being around him for the past 2 years. According to Cohen, Durk's chances of getting released could hinge on whether anyone decides to spill the beans. It's definitely a situation to keep an eye on, and fans are waiting to see how this all plays out.
When it comes to Durk Banks, so far I've seen one text that says don't have them associate.
I think that they'll approach him and make a deal with him that'll be the most attractive, and if that guy doesn't make a deal, they'll move on to the next guy. So usually that's what happens, right? You go for the lowest hanging fruit first, the guy that you think will flip the guy that didn't really have that much involvement. And I think what also is interesting with the indictment is it wasn't just money. They're like, oh, it could have been money or it could have been career advancement. So here's a twist in the Lil Durk case that's definitely worth talking about. Things are looking a bit brighter for him now that he's been moved from Fulton County to a Miami prison. But there's one rapper who might have really stirred the pot, Brick Baby. He recently shared some interesting insights in an interview, and it's got everyone talking. He said you can't really deny Lil Durk's involvement when it comes to King Von since they took out Lil Pab. After Lil Durk was arrested, Brick Baby went live and reacted to some of his previous comments, claiming that 5 Chicago gang members linked to OTF were allegedly hired to go after Quando Rondo in that LA incident where Lil Pab lost his life. If these guys get convicted, they could be in big trouble. He mentioned that the indictment says their flights and rental cars were paid for with credit cards tied to OTF. But the real question is, was this an attempted hit? Things got a bit awkward when Brick Baby said, "You can't say that anymore," referencing FG Cash and some federal charges in California. It kind of felt like he unintentionally put Lil Durk on blast for what went down with Quando Rondo. And it gets even crazier. Brick Baby said if Lil Durk had asked him for Quando Rondo's location, he would have given it up because he's all about loyalty. He explained, "At the end of the day, what's wrong with giving my friend the address? This is my boy, he lost his friend." It sounds like he was saying he probably would have done it if Durk had reached out. Now, with news that OTF Jam has been cooperating with the feds, fans are digging into old Lil Durk Instagram lives, trying to see if they can spot Jam hanging out with him and what might have slipped out on wiretaps. They found this old clip where Jam looks like he's whispering into his jacket what was going on there. Honestly, I had no clue that Jam was informing back in the day. He even hopped on an interview with DJ Academics and claimed he could figure out who would cooperate just by chatting with them. It's wild to think that Lil Durk has been playing this game like 3D chess the whole time, knowing Jam would eventually turn. What do you think is going to happen next? This case just keeps getting more intense.
So they'll take whoever is the least culpable, and I think that they'll approach him and make a deal.
So in this interview, it really felt like Durk was aware that people were gunning for him. He even said none of his friends know where he lives and he keeps everything on the down low. He was like, nobody's ever allowed to come to my house. Not even my best friend. I promise, for real. I just don't roll that way. It's not like we're having family nights at Durk's place. I've got to watch my back and everyone's on alert. If someone gets too close to my kids, well, you know what's up. You can sense how protective he is of his family. Then you think about how emotional he must have felt finding out that Jam was wearing a wire for all those years. That's a heavy realization, right? Academics mentioned he had heard about the feds looking into Durk over a year ago. He said it came from an Atlanta journalist who tipped him off, hey, something's about to go down. Durk must have been thinking he was in the clear after the Block 6 situation, but turns out the feds were still watching him. Once they gathered enough evidence, they acted fast. Durk and the guys involved in that incident with Lil Pab at the gas station got arrested within a day. What's crazy is how the feds flipped OTF Jam into a snitch. Here's a guy who just got out after serving 12 years. Right after he's released, Durk rolls up with gifts minus 50 grand in cash, a crib, and a car. Durk was like, welcome back, man. Here's some help. But not long after that, Jam gets caught with a gun and faces a tough choice: go back to prison for another 10 years or snitch on Lil Durk. After finally tasting freedom, he wasn't about to head back inside, so he signed that deal. It's wild that they could flip someone like him, who seemed like the last person you'd expect to wear a wire. This whole situation led to Lil Baby tweeting, "This can't be true, man. Free the boy Durk. These streets are shady, your own people might turn on you." Meanwhile, Charleston White had a different view, saying it was a win for the rap community. It's just wild how quickly things can change, right?
Just said, five Chicago gang members with ties to Lil Durk, OTF, accused of being high.
So, you won't believe what's been going down with Lil Durk. Jam's involvement has really flipped the script. The feds got enough evidence to snag some warrants and set up wiretaps on Durk and the whole OTF crew. They were just waiting for someone to mess up and spill some details, and guess what? They found evidence that linked one of Durk's credit cards to flights he booked for 5 guys who were supposed to go after Q's crew. It gets even crazier. Federal investigators managed to grab iCloud records showing Durk telling an associate not to book any flights under names connected to him. But of course, that associate went ahead and did it anyway, using a credit card tied to Durk. I mean, that's just a risky play. But wait, there's more. They scoured the internet and found old videos that linked Durk to the guys involved. They stumbled upon this jewelry video with King Von where 3 of the suspects, D.I., Vonnie, and Boogie, were hanging out. Since they were tight with King Von, it's likely they had some kind of ties to Durk's side too. And once King Von was taken out in Atlanta, you know they were looking for some payback. And here's the kicker: Durk's credit card was used to buy those flights for the hit crew. Just imagine that. DJ Vlad even jumped in on this situation, expressing his disbelief. He's always been vocal about the idea that nobody would be foolish enough to hop on a plane to carry out a hit, mainly because of the mountain of evidence that would inevitably follow. It's a classic case of thinking you're smarter than the system, right? But here we are. Lil Durk actually sent 5 guys on a plane with the intention of taking out Quando Rondo. Unfortunately, they ended up hitting the wrong person. Now, all 6 of them are facing the grim reality of life in prison, or potentially even worse consequences. It's hard not to feel the weight of this situation. There's something inherently tragic about it, not just for Durk, but for everyone involved. Charleston White had plenty to say about the whole affair, and his perspective is definitely one to consider. He found it pretty ironic that so many people are upset about Durk getting arrested. He pointed out that when he was locked up, people were laughing at him, making jokes about his situation. It's like the universe has a funny way of flipping the script. Now it seems like the tables have turned. Nobody's laughing at Lil Durk the same way they laughed at Charleston. It's a wild shift in perception, don't you think? What's particularly striking about this situation is how it illustrates the brutal reality of street life and the entertainment industry's intersection with it. Durk, who has built a successful career out of his music, finds himself caught in this web of violence and retribution. It's a stark reminder that no matter how much success you achieve, the streets have a way of pulling you back in. The decisions made in the heat of the moment can have life-altering consequences, and it seems that Durk is now paying the price for that. The fact that he used his credit card to finance this operation adds another layer of complexity to the whole thing. It's like a scene straight out of a movie where the main character thinks he's playing it smart, but ends up leaving a trail of evidence behind. In this case, it's not just about the money, it's about the choices he made and the people he trusted. The very people he thought would have his back ended up leading him into a situation where now they're all facing serious legal trouble. It's a classic case of misplaced trust and the dangers of the lifestyle that often glamorizes violence. As the story unfolds, you can't help but think about the ripple effects this will have on Durk's career. He has cultivated a loyal fan base who connect with his music on a personal level. Will this incident change how his fans view him, or will they continue to support him regardless of the chaos surrounding his life? This is a defining moment for Durk, one that could shape his legacy in ways he never anticipated. In the end, this saga serves as a cautionary tale. It highlights the harsh reality of navigating fame, loyalty, and the pitfalls that can arise when the streets call. Whether he can bounce back from this remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, this isn't just another headline, it's a turning point in the life of Lil Durk, and the world will be watching closely to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, because you just came home not too long ago, like when you come home.
So I've been home a little bit over a year.
Yeah, okay.
The story of Lil Durk, Quando Rondo, and the events leading up to their high-profile conflict is one of those cases where hip-hop rivalries spill far beyond music, turning into real-life situations with disturbing consequences. To understand how it all unfolded, we have to go back to 2020, when this feud became deadly serious, pulling many into its wake and creating a chain reaction of tensions, threats, and violent retaliations. The seeds of this feud were planted in November 2020. Following a tragic and widely publicized incident in Atlanta involving King Von, a close friend and fellow rapper under Lil Durk's Only the Family OTF label, King Von was gaining major attention for his raw storytelling and deep ties to Chicago's drill music scene. He had his own share of rivalries and notably had a long-standing beef with Quando Rondo, a rapper closely associated with NBA YoungBoy. The tensions between the two camps were known in the hip-hop world, but few expected things to escalate as they did on that fateful night in Atlanta. In a shocking turn of events, King Von was fatally shot during a confrontation with Quando Rondo's crew outside a nightclub. The altercation erupted quickly, and surveillance footage captured a chaotic scene that unfolded within seconds. As the two camps clashed, Lil Tim, a friend of Quando Rondo, pulled out a firearm, leading to King Von's death. This incident sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, sparking debates about violence in rap, security for artists, and the risks of real-life gang feuds spilling over into the music world. Shortly after, Quando Rondo added fuel to the fire by releasing a track titled Soul Reaper, where he seemed to taunt Von's death and brag about the events that had unfolded. In one verse, he raps, "Man ran up on me, then we sprayed him, I'm talking lights out, we do the dash, and that Durango jumped out with that pipe out, so tell him to pipe down." To fans and critics alike, it was a brazen move, as if Quando was unapologetically owning his part in the violence and mocking his rival's death. Lil Durk, who was mourning King Von's death, didn't immediately respond with his own diss track. However, rumors circulated that he was planning his next move and that he had no intentions of letting the situation slide. Durk's silence seemed ominous, and the tension only grew with whispers that OTF might be plotting some form of retaliation against Quando and his crew. The stakes were high, and those involved were under significant public scrutiny as fans speculated what would happen next. Then, in February 2022, Lil Durk released a track titled Aha, where he indirectly addressed the events and took a shot at those doubting his resolve. The line "They like Durk, he a singer, he won't do something you can believe, whatever you want, I got your folks" hit suggested that Durk wasn't just a rapper but someone willing to protect his own and seek retribution if necessary. This line became one of the most talked about in the hip-hop community, fueling theories that Durk was admitting, in some veiled way, to orchestrating a retaliatory strike. Things escalated when news broke that the Los Angeles Police Department was looking for 3 individuals linked to a shooting involving Quando Rondo and his crew. This shooting, caught on camera, reportedly involved a car associated with Quando, raising suspicions about OTF's involvement. While details were scarce, fans and commentators couldn't help but link this incident back to the ongoing tensions between the two camps, reinforcing the sense that this was no ordinary rap beef. It was as if both sides were locked in a dangerous game of chess, with every move leading to potentially violent consequences. In response, Quando Rondo didn't stay silent either. He released Want Me Gone, a track where he made it clear that he wasn't backing down. In one line, he raps, "My favorite op gone, his sister talk too much, no, I don't like her," implying disdain not just for his rival but for those around him as well. The streets buzzed with rumors, suggesting that this line was directed toward King Von's sister, who had been vocal about her brother's death. The message seemed loud and clear: Quando had no intention of letting up, and the cycle of threats and taunts continued. Lil Durk kept the tension alive with a powerful feature on a track with Babyface Ray, where he referenced the emotional impact of the violence. In a line that struck many listeners, he rapped, "Look on the news and see your son screaming, no, no, no." This line was widely interpreted as a brutal commentary on Quando Rondo's grief after his friend Lil Pab was killed. It depicted the raw, agonizing fallout of street violence, underscoring that these tragedies resonate far beyond the music. For many fans, this line encapsulated the grim reality of these feuds. While fans may cheer on rivalries and social media users may gossip about OPSS and beefs, these conflicts have devastating effects on real lives. Ultimately, the Durk and Quando Rondo feud illustrates the dangerous overlap between entertainment and real-life violence. Rap, like any other genre, often reflects the personal experiences of its artists, but in this case, those experiences became darkly intertwined with loss and aggression. While diss tracks are common in hip-hop, the situation between Durk, Quando, and their respective crews blurred the lines between lyrical bravado and actual threats, showing just how deadly serious these rivalries can become. The cycle of retaliatory actions and taunts has kept fans captivated. But it's also served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of letting unresolved feuds go unchecked. As these stories unfold in the public eye, they continue to highlight the often tragic consequences of beefs that go far beyond the studio walls.